like they gon' play it on repeat. Cash 100 milli check, I get paid just to breathe. Kill it 24/7 cause I slay in my sleep. Flames pipe down when I enter in the convo.
Come on.
We're not here to judge anybody. We want to handle this with love, right? You want to tell him how his drug abuse has hurt you, maybe hurt himself. Okay, Harold, what time did you tell him to be here?
5 o'clock, but he's always late.
No, he'll be here. In 3, 2, 1.
Is this a 5 o'clock free crack giveaway?
That's right, baby. On the MCU's Bleeding Edge, it is almost always a 5 o'clock free crack giveaway at any given time. Because that's how we get it down over here on the Bleeding Edge. But anyways, I'm just joking there, folks. As always, we have a wonderful, eclectic guest panel on here tonight that is extremely talented and extremely informative. And haven't seen some of them in a while. Some of them I've seen recently. Some of them are better than others, but they're all good people, my buddies, my friends. But the real talent on the show, of course, always is Cybernetic Shark, my veteran YouTuber and veteran content creator co-host, the supported by Rizzle creator on Rizzle. Handles his business over there. What's up, Cybernetic Shark? Woo! There you go. The best co-host in history. I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
Oh, wow.
That's right. Oh, and just to be clear, on the MCU's Bleeding Edge tonight, on our live stream show, we're here to break down not the whole San Diego Comic-Con Marvel Studios panel, because that would take like 5 hours. We don't have that much time. But we're going to try to get to some of it at least. The good stuff. Especially like I Am Groot. That's really, such an imperative one. But welcome back to the show for the first time in history, ages. Arch Stanton from the Podcast of Champions, Sakar.freeforums.net. Arch, what is up, my friend?
Hey, man. I'm happy to be here. And just for your radio pleasure, I am laying in bed in a pair of boxers. So I just want to throw that out there.
Oh, man. I'm telling you right now. There are some wet underwear right now. I know it somewhere after that, Arch. Without question. But that's okay. Either way, nice tease there, Arch. I like that. Very Bleeding Edge style. Very good.
By the way, I did throw in
ahead.
my avatar. That is my favorite band of all time. I highly recommend checking them out. Toad the Wet Sprocket.
Oh, there you go. That's awesome. Shit,
I'm a huge Beatles fan, and they have one of the best covers. They covered "Hey Bulldog," one of the best Beatles covers.
I couldn't make it out. It's kind of small. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, sorry, I did my best. I didn't know if you could see it there. Toad the Wet Sprocket, though, check them out. Coil is a great album. Dulcinea, good album. Fear is probably the one most people know. Awesome band.
Yeah, I listened to that back in the day. A lot of different people have always told me that they were really good live.
I love them. Yeah, I saw them in Daytona a few weeks back, month and a half ago or so.
Well, they can't be as good as Bandmade, brother. I don't know what to tell you. That's okay though.
That'd be an interesting pairing.
Yeah, no, it would be. That'd be very interesting. Gunnar, what's up, my friend? How you doing, brother?
Not much. Thanks for having me.
What is the status of Snap and MCU podcast these days with Chris?
We are retooling, and we'll stay tuned for an announcement very soon.
Excellent.
It's not going away. We're just broadening it so we can cover more than just Marvel. We might keep Snap around for, to cover movies and stuff and kind of, but so Snap will always be there, but we're looking to just kind of broaden what we can cover. I mean, Obi-Wan was so good, but I had no place to share it. So stuff like that.
Hey, that sounds interesting. That definitely builds speculation, So there you go. Are you gonna stick with the same title?
Probably not, because I think we're gonna keep Snap around. It's just not gonna be weekly anymore.
Okay.
So But our Lost show, we have to go back. That's still happening every week.
I've got one for you right now.
Yep.
Snap. I just got sexually rejected. There you go.
What?
Perfect. Love it. Anyways, Renee, my good friend from also from the podcast of champions, scar.freeforms.net. How are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
Well, you know what? I'm wonderful. I spent so much time with you recently that just the impact of being around you so much has really benefited my life a lot.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, sir, and you deserve all the love and kindness that I can send your way. And I will say that I am not in bed. I am not in boxers. But if I had known that Arch was going to be in his state of being, then I would have dressed. Lady Death Lady would have come out in her lingerie. She does have a lovely lingerie outfit, and I will preview it someday.
That would have been freaking great.
They're Iron Man boxers too. I just want to throw that out there.
Oh yeah. Well, that's okay. I'm gonna have to take a break, y'all.
Oh man. So I'm saving the best for last here. The man on the spot who just jumped on the show like 5 minutes after I called him before showtime. Kyle, my good friend. It's been a long time. Well, it hasn't been that long of a time. You were on the no Wi-Fi cell phone moderation ship show edition of the Bleeding Edge there the other day.
Well, I was just gonna say, between the dizziness of that and me wondering if Arch has actually got a can of Crisco with him as he lays in just his boxers, I'm scared, and I know when I come on this podcast, anything can happen.
Listen, Arch is a very ethical guy.
Just butter. I mean,
He's a family man now. Come on.
I mean, seriously, let's not defile Arch's reputation here and everything and whatnot. He's a very ethical man. But no, Kyle, it's good to see you again. Thank you so much for joining us. Kyle's not going to be able to bless us, I don't think, with the whole show, but he's going to give us what he can give us, and and we'll be lesser without him.
I don't. Other people might disagree with that one, but I'll be glad to trip in some Marvel knowledge from the Fandom Podcast Network side.
Well, listen. Speaking of which, since we might be losing you here in a little bit, why don't we go ahead and give you a chance right now to tell us what's going on right now with the pod? How's Kevin doing? How's his marriage going?
Me and my podcast partner Kevin, he's enjoying newly wedded life, so that's keeping him a little busy. But we've got everything on the Fandom Podcast Network, fpnet.podbean.com. We're running about 10 different shows right now, covering everything from Marvel to Star Wars to Highlander to retro films. We're busy over there, but we have a good time, and it's always good to pop on a friend's podcast and drop a little Marvel knowledge. And there's so much. We just put out our newest episode of our MCU podcast, True Believers, covering San Diego Comic-Con. And as Kevin put it on there, it was all Marvel vomit, but in a wonderful way.
There you go. And I can honestly vouch for the fact that his podcast is actually one of the only podcasts that I do ever check out pretty much, other than Williams Geek Gauntlet and the Podcast Champion stuff and whatnot. And here and there, even Gunners. I do check out their pod. And they make some pretty good content over there and whatnot, They're a little bit more comic book orientated maybe than like we are at times. But there's nothing wrong with that at the end of the day, right?
Oh, hey, it's all Phantom and it's all enjoyable.
There you go. So I'm just checking really quick. This way the StreamYard is designed, I got to make sure I pay attention, because if William pops up and I don't let him in, I'm going to feel bad. Either way, this is, of course, the MCU's Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast. I am, of course, Jeff S., the humbled co-host, a.k.a. True Knowledge. I am here. Not very talented. I'll do my best here tonight moderating the show. Hopefully have at least like my C- game. But we're here to go ahead and dive into Black Panther 2, the Black Panther 2 teaser trailer, Wakanda Forever, and dig into that. We're going to dig into the She-Hulk trailer that came out with the San Diego Comic-Con. Get into that a little bit. I am Groot, which, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm not drinking alcohol tonight because I'm advertising for this company. I'm drinking it so I can just take the I am Groot trailer seriously. I need to be at least half intoxicated for that. And then hopefully we can actually get into and talk about this whole concept, the fact that we're going to get the Kang as like the real ultimate, I guess, deal when we get the Avengers back finally, which is some friggin' big news, man. And hey, that's only not even covering 30% of what came out of the panel. So we're doing our best.
And We have D23 right around the corner where Marvel's expected to have 8 to 10 more major announcements.
Oh, you know what? I forgot all about D23.
That's going to be all Phase 6.
Well, and we might get another. From what I'm hearing, we might get another major villain announcement come D23 as well.
Is the D23 the one where Kevin Feige does all of it?
It's all the Disney guys doing it. Feige will be part of it, but you're gonna have a lot of Disney people there being involved with it too, because that's Disney's actually big personal showcase. So
I see. So that makes sense then. Yes. So we might potentially get a villain out of that.
Well, if the rumors I'm hearing are true, we might have a stinger at the end of Wakanda Forever that reveals a certain doctor in the MCU.
Okay, we talked about that. All right, so Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. I've got the teaser trailer. I'm going to play it. And essentially, me and Renee were talking about it earlier today. Everybody's opinions, of course, are counted and respected as far as I'm concerned. But I think it's a great trailer. Very well done.
No woman, no cry. No woman, no cry. Hey, little darling, don't shed no tear. No woman, no cry. Good friends we have, and good friends we've lost along the way. In this great future, you can't forget your past. So dry your tears, I say.
There you go, man. It's a good thing that they got Chloe Zhao to do that one. I'm telling you. Another masterpiece, Chloe. But no. Either way. No, great trailer. Really awesome. Damn, that Angela Bassett scene where she freaking screams and everything about losing her whole family and everything is really powerful. Could not help but feel affected by that. But right to you, Kevin. Or excuse me, Kyle, I apologize. There's a lot in the trailer, I guess to start off with, Tino Huerta, if I pronounce it correctly, is Namor the Submariner. What do you think of this, not totally unknown actor, but I guess this actor that's only really performed in movies that have been in Spain and South America and things of that nature, not Hollywood born or whatever? What do you think of the fact that that's who they cast to play Namor?
Well, at this point, when it comes to casting for MCU, I have complete trust and faith in whatever they do. The mistakes in casting are few and far between if they're even there. So having this actor play Namor, I've got complete trust in the casting departments at Marvel Studios and in Kevin Feige. I think it's going to be a brilliant choice. I actually like the fact that they're doing some things too with playing up a little bit of this South American side of it with the Aztecs and that history instead of just going Atlantis, because I think that it creates confusion with Aquaman for people who are just watching these films. And I think it makes it stand on its own a little bit more. I just got to say, too, this trailer is absolute. This is how you make a movie trailer. You have it's everything I expect from Black Panther and Ryan Coogler. Amazing music piece, beautiful set design, just everything. It pulls you right in. This is going to be the star movie out of Phase 4 without question, in my opinion. And the other thing I just want to say real quick too is just watching a lot of the interviews after San Diego Comic-Con, hearing all the original cast who came back for this film talk about how it was a grieving process throughout this film, and it was a healing process for them, because I can't see how anybody's not going to watch this film and not be emotional watching this film after Chadwick's passing, which was still such a loss.
Most definitely. Lion of a man. Definitely somebody I respect. Cybernetic Shark, what are your thoughts? What do you think about this actor? What do you know about this, if I pronounce it correctly again, Tino Chiarta?
I don't know anything about this guy. I have not heard of him before. This is the first thing I've ever heard of him being in. From what little they showed of him in the trailer, I'm not too sure about how his acting is going to be in the film. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what he does provide. Unlike Kyle, I wasn't too thrilled by this teaser trailer. I thought it was a little too solemn. I thought they should have made it a little more upbeat. So I'm hoping with further trailers down the road, they'll be a little more upbeat, because yes, it is a sad thing that Chadwick Boseman passed away, that they are trying to show solace to him. I get that. But when I'm going to see a trailer, I want to see some excitement from it. This didn't give me excitement. This just made me feel sad. And I don't want to feel that way when I'm seeing a trailer for a Marvel film. Marvel film to me is supposed to be entertaining and exciting. But overall, I still think the trailer itself was really well done. I liked all the different scenes they showed. I liked the landscaping, and the scenery in this looks really fantastic. I really enjoyed the scene where it showed the whales swimming and the people attached to the whales as they're swimming in the ocean. That was a really fantastic scene. But overall, I think that the trailer itself doesn't really give you much. It gives you a little bit, but hence a teaser trailer. But I'm really looking forward to seeing further trailers down the road.
Okay, Gunnar. And if you want to delve into the trailer, I'm just going to ask about the trailer either way anyway. But it's up to you, Gunnar. If you want to go ahead and tell me what you think of this actor playing Namor and how well he might perform, then you want to jump into the trailer itself, feel free.
Yeah, I mean, I've got nothing to say about him that hasn't already been said. But as far as the trailer goes, I love this trailer. It was great. It was emotional. And I think this is the emotion that you want going into this. You want to see Shuri walking, at the funeral, and that scene where she's in tears. I mean, that's what you want, because that's what you want to think of. You want to remember Chadwick, and you want to remember T'Challa. As far as the trailer itself, I love the fact that I don't know who's going to be Black Panther. They show Black Panther for 1 second. Apparently there's a Lego leak. So if you've read the leak, please don't tell me, because I want to hold off as long as possible. Because right now, that's like the big mystery. Who's going to be the Black Panther? I mean, you could say, oh, it's Shuri. That's what everyone thought. But, Angela Bassett had the line about her whole family's gone. So does that mean Shuri dies in this? We know she's having problems with outside influences affecting her no-vax point. And so, she's kind of in hot water with Marvel anyway. So are they going to kill her off? Are we supposed to think they're killing her off and then she comes back? Who's going to be the Black Panther? Is it going to be Io? Is it going to be, who is it going to be? I love that mystery. And that's what I love about this teaser trailer. It's a teaser. You don't know you don't really know where it's going. I mean, obviously you can piece it together from certain comic books. But I'm excited to see Namor. I'm excited to see how they handle Atlantis. And I'm really excited that I don't know who's going to be the next Black Panther.
R. Stanton, what do you think of what are your thoughts on this? What we saw about Namor in the trailer? What our first look at him, I guess, right? You know Namor from the comics.
Sure.
What did you think of this representation of him? And then what did you think of the trailer?
I think it looks great. I'm not going to comment on the trailer too much because these guys are nailing it. I agree with them. I was actually excited. I thought it did a great job of of kind of getting you into kind of the stakes that are going on, but also the hopefulness, because I mean the musical choices that were going on really give you this idea. I mean, part of it is just continuously saying it's going to be all right, and I think that works on multiple levels, and I think it's going to work for the film itself too. But I think Namor looks great. I love that they're giving him sort of Aztec roots. I like that they're really rooting a lot of these characters in other indigenous cultures, and you're going to get some of that history and sort of flavor into that character. I think it's cool. I can't wait to see it. I was talking in a completely different context today on a different subject about how they use characters and scenes in multiple ways. It's never just exactly what's happening and that's all there is to it. There's usually multiple levels to it, and I think this is going to be one of them. This film absolutely looks like it's going to be incredible, and I trust that it is. I want to give a shout out. I always do to Sarah Finn. That's the Marvel casting director. I don't know to what level she was involved in this particular casting, but I know she's done a absolutely stellar job casting throughout the entire MCU. So assuming she was also involved in this, she just deserves a big shout out for that too. But the big thing I just wanted to mention just about Black Panther in general, and then I'll let you guys talk about the trailer more, is I was certainly one of these who was very, I don't know how to describe it. I guess concerned. I had a fair amount of trouble just processing how they were going to move on from Chadwick, and just Chadwick's death itself, but then also from just a nerd standpoint, which almost feels selfish to be honest, but how are they going to deal with this in writing? And maybe that's not even a fair question to ask, but this trailer really absolved that. I was worried about what they were going to do, and like seriously, in a span of 8 hours, I suddenly just got that this is sort of this is just really sort of an honoring of what's been going on, and I'm going to treat it as such. And I'm really excited for this film in a way that I wasn't before it came out. Like literally the minute before it came out, I was nervous, and now I'm like, I get it, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you, Arch. I really appreciate that. Renee, what are your thoughts? What do you think? What did you think about Namor? Thoughts on the trailer?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's covered a lot of what I would agree with. Yeah, I like the idea of the cultural aspect where we have, of course, it's Wakanda's a fantasy culture. It doesn't exist. There's not really even based on anything like for instance, Asgard is based on actual Norse mythology of what people believe used to exist. I don't think anybody ever thought Wakanda existed, but there are a lot of weird stuff in South America and stuff like that, and the Mayans and stuff they found back in the jungles and whatnot that link up with possibly with African cultures and things like that. So was there an interchange of cultures sometime in the distant past that we're not aware of that's kind of got wiped out, in the midst of history or whatever? And so I think just exploring that kind of that idea, just in a fantasy way, I think is going to be fun. And then of course the myth of Atlantis, which is big, has always been big since the days of I guess who was Socrates or whoever originally told the story of Atlantis. So that's always been factored in, I think, Western culture and our fantasies and our dreams and whatnot. So I think it's going to be fun to play around with that. And then as far as Namor, I mean, he's sort of a classic Marvel character. He's been around a long time, so I think bringing him back, I think, is going to be interesting, and bringing back that whole Atlantis, the ocean and sea life, and like you said, you mentioned the whales. The Atlanteans are using whales as for transport, so I think that kind of reminds you a little bit of in Dune, where the Freeman would use the worms for transport in the sand. So I think it's the relationship between the whales and the Atlanteans will be interesting to see. So yeah, it's just a really rich trailer, a lot of stuff packed in there. And I will say, and let me cough just a second here. I saw him at the end, the Black Panther, and I might be a little spoiler, but if you'll notice right there at the end where the hand comes out and splays out with the claws, That looks kind of feminine to me. So you might want to look at it again. Maybe it's just me, but I think that might be a hint where it's going.
It does not look like a big person. I will say that it doesn't look like M'Baku or anything like that. But that's much funny that you mentioned Dune. I got a vibe from the trailer that was very similar to one of the Dune trailers, as far as the music and like the theme of the the energy of the trailer was very similar to one of the Dune trailers.
Yeah, and they're going for that very, as mentioned, solemn. It's very reverent.
Yes.
That very reverential. It's I think they want to play respect to Chadwick Boseman, and like you say, they're going to have to confront it some way or another, and I think this may be the best way that they're going to do it. So I'm going to give this trailer a real big thumbs up.
Well, I just want to point out, I understand where Cyber's coming from 100%. Like, I get what you're talking about with the trailer, and I get it. I do. My thing is, I guess for me, is I wonder, is it possible that they could go in this kind of really solemn direction with the film as a contrast to the first Black Panther film, and it could end up being a better film that way?
Well, I mean, I saw a lot of action in the trailer. I mean, it was cut short. We didn't see it, but I think there's going to be plenty of action. Probably the next trailer gets, as it gets closer in, like we were talking about before, that the trailers will change. It'll be a more widened screen version, and then as it moves in closer to the release date, then you get more personalized trailers. So yeah, probably we'll see some more action stuff and things that will bring in the audience.
We'll go to you, Cyber, then I'll go to you next, Kyle. Now I know you talked about the trailer already, Cyber, but still going to ask you either way. What I was going to ask, I guess, was probably, do you feel like the trailer makes you feel better about the film, like, than you did going into it? You know what I mean? Like, does it give you more hope or whatever, now that we have something to work with at all that's tangible to see? Or, but then again, based off your take off the trailer, did it do the opposite for you? As in, do you feel less now, like confident about the film?
I don't feel unconfident about the film. I think that the film's going to be good no matter what. I just don't think this first trailer gives it its full potential, is what I really mean by how the trailer came out. I think there's a lot more to it, and I think as further trailers come out, we're going to see a lot more of that. It just didn't give me the impression like previous trailers have given me.
Okay. Kyle, would I assume right in saying that you already were 100% confident in Ryan Coogler with Black Panther 2 anyway, or?
The first Black Panther movie is something that's incredibly just unique, even to the MCU and where it stands. Ryan Coogler is one of the best young directors out there right now. I have complete confidence in him. I have complete confidence in this cast. I came away from this trailer with a couple of thoughts. One, I think this movie is meant to be not only a healing process for the cast, but for the fans as well. I think the movie is going to open up with a somber tone because we're all going to experience the funeral for T'Challa together. But I also think it's also going to be about healing and getting into that action and moving forward. And I really think the idea behind this first trailer, I think Kevin Feige and Ryan Coogler combined on this, was they wanted this first trailer revealed at Comic-Con to be just as much a tribute to Chadwick. And that's why we see the shot of the mural, that beautiful mural of Chadwick there. And I think it's, as we go, we're going to see more trailers that are more of the traditional Marvel action style. And all I know is that at some point in one of these trailers, I better get Namor saying Imperious Rex. I need that to happen, whether it's in a trailer or in this movie. I'm very curious to see who the next Black Panther is going to be, because I think I'm not going to be surprised if the mantle isn't handed off a couple times throughout this film, and then we settle on a Black Panther at the end of it, because I could definitely see personally where we see Shuri in the mantle for a period of time, then something happens and somebody else steps up and takes that mantle. Just going off a gut feeling on my part, but I do think this movie is going to be outstanding. And like I said, I think it's going to be the crowning achievement of Phase 4. Now that we know it's also the film that's going to somewhat end Phase 4, because James Gunn has said and Feige confirmed this, that the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special will actually be the epilogue to Phase 4. So, but I think this is going to go out on a high note, and I'm expecting something very powerful in the stingers at the end of this film too.
Well, shout out to Andrew Orozco, staff writer for the Geek News Now network, for being in the comment section. We love you, Andrew. And Facebook user, whatever the hell that is, I guess that's your screen name. Looks like Killmonger. Does look like potentially Killmonger. Love
It's J-Ren. It's Joey.
Oh, is that Joey?
It's Joey. Yeah, I don't know why
Joey.
it's not showing on here, but on the YouTube channel it shows his name.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe it was because this comment here. Hopefully, it's not a woman. No offense. I thought maybe it wasn't Joey because Joey was afraid to say that, so he had to use a Facebook user thing. You know what I mean? He didn't want to like come off the wrong way, you know. Hey, what's up, Joey? Way to be so PC. I love it. But anyway,
I hope the Black Panther is Nakia, but not the Nakia from Black Panther, Nakia from Ms. Marvel. I hope she becomes the Black Panther.
I'd rather see
just
Groot,
because. Why did they give us another Nakia?
I'd rather see Groot be the Black Panther than fucking Shuri.
You love those tree people, don't you?
There you go. Yep, I think Groot would be an excellent Black Panther. Art Stanton, what do you think, brother? Are you
What you got?
Are you more optimistic about the film because of the trailer? Are you not even shaken by it? Is it nothing for you? What do you think?
No, 100%. And it wasn't any doubt about Coogler. I think he's an amazing director. I mean, the first film was just outstanding. It really was. I think Coogler nails it. I mean, the cast is amazing. The style of it is amazing. Like, I had no doubts that they were going to make the best film possible. My only concern was I didn't know what that would look like. And it's not really a concern. It's just, I didn't know. I was left in this state of ambiguity. I didn't want to, accept or deal with the fact that they might actually just move on without T'Challa. I didn't really want that. But what I want, I often say this, what I want is not necessarily what I think we should all be hoping for, because they can't possibly give everybody, all of us, exactly what we want, because we all want different things. So I don't focus on that so much. I just didn't know how they were going to get there. And this trailer really, like I said, just made me kind of see that, you know what, they've got this. They really do. And I just kind of felt at peace with it, like in a way that I hadn't for quite a while. I was really sort of nervous about it. I was anxious about it, and I felt really good about it. It just made me feel awesome about the direction they're heading.
Renee, as somebody who has been openly public recently, not recently, recently a while back, as being somewhat concerned a little bit or confused at times as to the direction of the rest of Phase 4 or Marvel Studios, in general. Mm-hmm. Is this trailer uplifting to you at all in terms of what your thoughts are on the Black Panther 2 film?
Yeah, very much so. I think if you sort of see a pattern with not with the television shows, but I'm just speaking strictly of the films. I think it started out kind of choppy. Shang-Chi was like something totally new, a new character and everything, and it was a good movie. I don't have any problems with it. When we got to Black Widow, that movie almost was like an afterthought, because I think that movie would have made more sense if it had been played in with before they got to the final part of the Infinity Wars and Endgame, because that would have placed her saga in with the way Iron Man's was, or the way Captain America's was. They had a sort of like a separate saga each one. That would have given her place, rather than she was just a side character who moved up. When we got into, I think, Spider-Man, I think that was, there again, it was you're bringing it back in, but then there was a lot of bringing in these odd, time mix, whatever it was, these different characters coming in. I think that was a little good for that film and great for the Spider-Man series, but I'm not sure how it's going to factor into the going forward with the Phase 4. Doctor Strange was great. I loved it. I mean, I think Raimi just hit it out of the park. I think it could have been maybe a tad better and a little bit more, give us a little bit more idea where it was going. But as far as the film goes, it was great. Thor: Love and Thunder, my gosh, I've already discussed that. I won't belabor it, but I think it had some issues. But even so, it is bringing back all the characters. Like with Strange, we're starting to get our familiar characters back, and then I think with Black Panther, you're going to have that even more so because you're bringing back almost the entire cast, and then you're bringing in this new element of Atlantis and everything, and this conflict that's going to happen with them, and how that's going to factor in. So I feel really positive about it at this point. I think it's been choppy. The TV shows per se, I think they've done real well because one thing they had going for them, they brought all the former characters back in. Well, I mean, we knew Wanda, we know Loki, we know Winter Soldier and Falcon and all these guys. So we're all already familiar with them. We were at home with them. So I think Black Panther really does bring you that home feeling. I'm just like Art said, you kind of get that, okay, I'm ready to see this movie, and I think it's going to be the best one of the whole lot. So I'm real positive.
Gunnar, what do you think, brother? I can't remember ever really asking you or you telling me or mentioning on the show really what your thoughts were as far as how optimistic you were with Black Panther 2. What did the trailer do for you?
Actually, it brought up some questions. One thing they kind of announced or hinted at a Dora Milaje series, which we see didn't get announced. So did they fold that into this movie when Chadwick died, or is that something that's going to happen? Because it looks like they're setting up the storyline with Io and her lover. It looks like they're folding that into this film, which I thought that would kind of be the premise of that Dora Milaje series. But no, I think my expectations are about where I thought they'd be. I mean, I like Black Panther. I liked it a lot. I think, so far with the trailer, and I mean, look, it's got one objective. Well, two objectives. One, introduce whoever the new Black Panther is, and two, introduce us to Namor. And that's going to be the point of this movie. And now they added the third part, which is to mourn Chadwick Boseman's passing. So as long as they do those three things in a spectacular way, I don't know how we can be disappointed. So I'm interested. I like that I don't, like I said earlier, I like that I don't know everything going into this.
Well, I mean, I put it out there. I've been confident about this film. I have for a while now. I thought it could be really good, but I never thought of it as potentially being the best film out of what came out this year. I never really thought about it that way, but I guess it's very, very well could be possible.
I mean, it looms over Wonder Woman's shadow, so
there you go.
We know that is where the star of this phase is going to be.
Kyle, did you know anything about the whole Dora Milaje series?
Yeah, they've been talking about it for a while. It is still at this point planned. They haven't announced anything yet because they're waiting for because it's going to focus on Okoye, but they're waiting for her to finish up this Walking Dead miniseries that she's working on right now. That's going to wrap up her character storyline from The Walking Dead. But yeah, they still plan on doing that. They Wakanda is a very big plan for the future of the MCU because you've also got the Ironheart series, and obviously Riri Williams is being introduced in Wakanda Forever. So Wakanda is going to be a big part going forward, whether or not we have a T'Challa or not. And I think it's going to be a very key aspect as we continue on with, because I think with not having a Tony Stark, and we've kind of seen it already with Falcon and Winter Soldier, Wakanda is going to become the technological place for these heroes to go.
Mm-hmm.
And with Riri coming in, and depending on what they're doing with Shuri, there's a lot of different directions that they could work in. But Wakanda's not going anywhere. And as far as I know, because they have plans to do stuff with Okoye, and she's going to be the center of that show when it does come out.
Well, you know what?
Don't forget, we have Aurora Monroe that might show up in this. I mean, I know in the comics she's not Wakandan, but
wait, how does that even make sense?
Because of her relationship with T'Challa in the comics, maybe we'll see her show up. You never know.
But if we don't have a T'Challa, Black Panther, how do you where does Storm Aurora fit into the whole picture at that point?
I mean, she was with T'Challa in the comics. I mean, it's easy to adjust one story to make her Wakandan. I don't think they will necessarily
come to the funeral. Yeah. She could come to the funeral and offer her services.
It all depends on some rights issues too that are going on with
Yeah, I heard about
former
that.
Fox actors too, and that are being tied up right now. I have a feeling you're not going to see any major X-Men characters until after 2025.
Okay. Anybody think anything of the fact that Namor's half mutant in the comics? Does anybody think that's even going to have any be a factor in the series and the movie at all or anything like that, Kyle?
I think it could, because I mean, now that the word mutant is out there thanks to the Miss Marvel series, so I think what the plan is to drop little things here or that in there, go with mutant going forward, and to slowly build towards an X-Men thing. But I think it's either going to be a secret, the Kang Dynasty or Secret Wars, that's going to fully open the door for the X-Men to come in. I think their focus right now is setting up this multiverse Fantastic Four and getting things set for this big reveal. I really think the mutants are going to be the stars of the third saga of the MCU. I think the third saga of the MCU could be the mutant saga.
Gunnar, do you think that the Namor mutant deal could be anything having to do with the film at all?
No, I mean, will we get that stinger again? Maybe. I mean, will they say the word mutant? Maybe. They still haven't said that word. But again, I like to point out that, Ms. Marvel was not the first mutant we've seen. We've seen Wanda's a mutant, technically. Quicksilver's a mutant, and we saw Ursa Major and Black Widow. I mean, that's another mutant. So, I mean, they're out there. They just haven't used the M word yet. So,
Renee, you have any thoughts on whether or not they'll decide to actually bring the mutant word up with Namor?
Well, I'm confused about particularly in the MCU. You've got the and we talked about it a little earlier off the air, but in the ABC series of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they had a lot of I guess they're called Inhumans, and they had this thing called the Terrigen Mist, which played a big role in all throughout that series, and they have, I think, a very similar. Something the same happens to them. It's something that was in their DNA, whatever, and then the mist trigger it, and then they become, their superhuman powers come out. And so I'm wondering if they're just gonna sort of combine that sort of idea in with mutants, and rather than having to deal with the fact that they're inhuman, they're also out there, because it's getting a little unwieldy with superhuman people coming forward. So I'm just wondering about that. And maybe you guys that know Gunnar and Kyle and whatnot and Arch know more about these things can sort of explain that.
Cyber, what do you think, brother? Do we get mutant with Namor attached in the film or not?
I'm going to go just like with everyone else. It couldn't. You never know with Marvel. They like to slip things in like that, but you don't always get it. So is it a possibility? Definitely. Is it very possible they won't do it? Very possible, especially with them trying to kind of intersect the mutant world. Like Kyle said, very possibly the next saga could be the mutant saga, especially with the beginning of Fantastic Four. So, I mean, they're slowly introducing mutants. Like just like Gunnar said, we have seen a few different mutants, throughout different things over now the last couple of years. So the possibilities of Namor being considered a mutant in the MCU, we don't know, because they have changed many characters to suit their universe versus how the comic books do it. I mean, look at Miss Marvel. They had it where an amulet basically brought out her powers. So versus the Terrigen Mist, just like, Loki's mom was just talking about. So who knows what they're going to go with? You just got to wait and see, basically, is how it works.
That's right. And in the comics, I think, Kyle, you probably would back me up on this. Namor being a mutant was never a big issue or anything they made a big deal out of, really.
Yeah, he was always considered the first mutant because he was the child of an Atlantean and a human. And I give them credit for this. They're going all out on the Namor because we see the birth scene where we actually see the ankle wings.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're doing the ankle wings, which has always been kind of considered a little bit of a silly thing, the fact they're doing that, I give them a ton of credit for. Like I said, it could go either way. They don't have to mention it. I don't think it's really an end of the world thing if they don't mention it. What what is interesting though is you were talking about the Inhumans a few minutes ago. The Inhumans were made so toxic by Ike Perlmutter with Marvel TV with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in that horrible Inhuman show. And if they would have ever stuck to their original plan of doing an Inhumans film, which was based off the old Jay Lee 12-issue miniseries, the Inhumans would be huge. But I think the only possibility of anything Inhuman happening now is if Anson Mount's popularity continues to grow and we see him decide he wants to play Black Bolt again. Otherwise, don't count on anything Inhumans in the MCU for a good while.
Or if they just had Brie Larson play every single Inhuman character in the film. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. She'd make a good Medusa.
Yeah. Arch, what do you think, brother? Namor being a mutant make any difference in the film?
It's not going to be a big plot point. I wouldn't expect that. They may drop a little teaser on that, but I tend to agree with Kyle that mutants are probably an after Phase 6 third saga sort of thing. I expect they'll probably do a lot. Maybe they could do something crazy like after these timelines merge back in, they start them with like Age of Apocalypse or something like that, and then bring them back in. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there, but yeah, I think probably Phase 6 is where you're seeing that. I'm sorry, not Phase 6, but Saga 3. Phase 6, though, we're going to talk about this probably a little bit more in a minute, is a little bit of a mystery where I firmly say I could be totally wrong on that because they've got a number of titles we haven't seen. We could get something big in terms of X-Men stuff, but I wouldn't put any money on that right now. I don't know exactly what they're building towards there, but I would think X-Men are coming after that. Just give them time to have their own space at that point.
All right, one final short question. Since Kyle mentioned it right in the beginning with Dr. Doom, going to you, Cyber. Is it going to make a big freaking difference if Dr. Doom pops up at a cameo at the end of the movie? Is that going to be really super significant or not?
Significant? No, I don't think so. I think it'll be a nice Easter egg to show that they are moving towards the Fantastic Four film, and that probably Dr. Doom will play a part in that film. The one good thing about the upcoming Fantastic Four film is they have officially stated that it's not an origin story. So the Fantastic Four will already be established like they did with Spider-Man, how they had him already being Spider-Man for 6 months when we first got introduced to him in Civil War. So that is a plus for a lot of people I know because they didn't want another origin story because we had the horrible one in 2015, and then, of course, we had the ones back in 2006 and 2008. But dropping Dr. Doom would just be a fun little thing especially because he is, kind of related to Wakanda in a way in the comics and so forth. So that would be kind of cool. I don't 100% agree that they're going to drop him in this film. I think we're going to see him in one of the Disney Plus TV series before we see him in a movie. But you never know.
Well, I'm going to put it out there right now. I freaking love Dr. Doom. If he's done right, I think he's a damn game changer no matter what. But, Arch Stanton, going right back to you. I mean, I know you like Dr. Doom already, so I'm already biased on this one. But how significant is it if Dr. Doom pops up even as a cameo?
I'm going to disagree with Cyber here. I think if they drop Dr. Doom, that is massively significant, and I would full on be expecting him to be the main player, or perhaps the main player, a significant player, if not the main player in Avengers Secret Wars. That's what I would immediately be thinking. Yep. I think it's a massive development that can't be understated.
Well said. Perfect. Renee, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think Dr. Doom would make it would make for another villain. I think we know Kang's going to be probably going forward. He's going to be one of the main, at least as far as Quantum Mania and things like this, that type of storyline's going. So I think if you have another villain that they can sort of play in and out of each other and either come together or fight or whatever, I think that would be, I can see Kang and maybe Dr. Doom becoming allies at some point. Who knows?
Gunnar.
Yeah, I think the main thing that they're going to do with Doom is I think they're going to separate him from the Fantastic Four and not link them together. I've been saying for a long time now, I think we're going to see the Fantastic Four in Quantumania. I think that's why they've been gone. I think they've been stuck in the quantum realm. I know, name's escaping me, the director, Peyton Reed. pitched an idea for a Fantastic Four movie that took place in the 60s, and they were like the Beatles running around being giant superstars. I think we're going to see elements of that film that he wrote take place in Quantumania. We're going to see the Fantastic Four, and it's going to go back to what a lot of people are thinking was just a joke because of the name when Doctor Strange said, "Didn't you chart in the 60s?" I think we're going to see what that means is, weren't you guys huge in the 60s and just kind of disappeared? I think that's the big takeaway with Doom. Whether he shows up here or not, I don't know. If he does show up, it'll just be in a post-credit scene. And I don't know that that's a big enough spot for him yet. So I think maybe, I don't know. But I do think Fantastic Four will show up and will be introduced to our version of the Fantastic Four. Whether it's Krasinski or not, I don't know. But we'll get our Fantastic Four in Ant-Man 3.
I agree with
but let me ask
Go
you
ahead.
quick. The Fantastic Four, or at least the Reed Richards in Doctor Strange, he was in a different universe from the one we're in, from the 1 hour.
Correct.
Right. So he would, if they do, they would have to come from another verse to ours somehow, some way, which is, I guess, is possible.
Yeah, I don't think the Doctor Strange or the Fantastic Four we're gonna get in Ant-Man. I don't think it's going to be the same ones we saw in Multiverse of Madness. I think it'll be a different team. Whether or not it's Emily Blunt and John Krasinski, that's still up in the air. Maybe not.
Just a heads up, John Krasinski is starting to play from the Andrew Garfield playbook when it comes to Fantastic Four. If you saw a recent interview he
Jimmy
did,
Fallon?
I think he's Mr. Fantastic.
I think he's going to direct.
Well, he would be stupid not to use him. I mean, he's perfect for it.
I just wanted to draw a tiny little parallel that Gunnar didn't think of with the idea of what's been talked about publicly about Scott in Quantumania being a bit of a celebrity. You just made me think of the idea of the Fantastic Four having been that, parallels that nicely. So you just somehow those two ideas just made me think that that's highly more possible than I thought it was just before you said that.
There you go. That's the magic of conversation and discussion amongst the fandom.
Wow! Jesus, what the hell, man?
Still in control, no overwhelming feelings of rage.
No! A normal amount of rage!
You do revert back to Gen form when you sleep.
Was the air horn really necessary?
For comedy, absolutely. This is a multi-year journey you're about to embark on.
Yes!
Yeah. Who's your best friend?
Nikki.
Spandex. Spandex is your best friend. Being a Hulk asks for balance. You have so much more to learn. Yes!
So I'm clearly nailing it at all these things.
If you want to go back to your life as a lawyer, I respect that.
He doesn't mean that.
More and more eccentric superhumans are coming out of the woodwork. We're going to launch a division for them. And I want the She-Hulk to be the face of it.
Jennifer Waters. Namaste.
I have a serious conflict of interest. This man tried to kill my cousin, Bruce.
Yeah, that's quite all right.
Oh. People only care because I'm representing Emil Blonsky. I think they care because they're like, hey, that girl's great. Jen, do your thing. God, I really like this outfit. I'm not proud of this.
Miss Walters, we answer to a higher power. Our universe is on the edge of a precipice.
I am a lawyer. We do things by the book.
The Book of Ashanti.
No, the Book of American laws.
Whether you like it or not, you're now a superhero.
Let's do this. You know that that friend you had in high school who was way cooler than you were, attractive, got all the attention from everyone. Hello.
I think I'm jealous. Is that what I'm feeling?
Fucking A, the best part of that trailer is that last scene, baby. That's my man right there. We'll get into that in just a minute, but I guess Gunnar maybe has some technical difficulties, so we'll get him back here shortly. But either way, now of course we did see She-Hulk break the fourth wall. Now I think twice now in that trailer she did, maybe 3 times. I couldn't even tell. So there's a comic book shout out right there for the whole breaking the fourth wall deal. She did it. Obviously they're going to do it in the series, which is good to know. And as far as She-Hulk goes, I'll tell you, I can't help it, but I don't know if Tatiana Maslany is known to be funny, but that scene with her and Wong is fucking hilarious, man. Like seriously, it's hilarious. Like how serious Wong is. He's like, "Oh, you mean the Book of Ashanti?" Like I mean, come on, man. You can't not think that that's funny. Go ahead, Kyle.
Okay. First of all, as far as Tatiana Maslany goes, if you have not watched Orphan Black, you need to do yourself a favor and watch Orphan Black. You will see one of the most talented actresses out there right now.
I saw the woman, but she was never funny.
She was, though. She wasn't like direct comedy, but there was the character of Allison, who was kind of the suburban housewife. Trust me, there's some comedy gold in that character, and she tapped into. She has that funny side. We just haven't seen it in roles, but she is phenomenal casting for She-Hulk. She's gonna nail this, and I just got to shout out to all those people who were panicked about the CGI after the first trailer. Look at it. Look at the compare and contrast, how much they've improved it from this. But I cannot wait for this series. I'm excited for the series. It's going to be fun. We see Daredevil, which I'm incredibly excited about. We got the Wrecking Crew we see there, and I have a feeling that Abomination is going to play a big part in a movie that's going to wrap up Phase 5, and that's the Thunderbolts.
Well, going right off that, Arch Stanton. I'm going to start it off with Daredevil. Okay, now I love the way that they used him in the trailer like that. I think it was great, genius. Not showing his whole face and everything, and just showing like part of his body, but just showing like his sticks or clubs, whatever you want to call them, from the comic. What do you think? What do you think his impact just on the She-Hulk series alone is going to be like?
Geez, I don't know. I don't think a lot, honestly, and the reason is that I think that this is going to definitely be her show and not like some sort of backdoor Daredevil show. So, I mean, I'm sure he'll pop in. He'll probably take care of an episode. He'll probably be a major player in one episode. Maybe come back for the finale or something like that. But I don't think he's going to like dominate the show or anything. I like the idea of this being a bit of an anthology series in the sense that there's like different people popping in the different episodes. I thought that was kind of a cool idea to work in various different people. I mean, I've heard, ideas of Jessica Jones showing up. Obviously, there's Abomination. Wong shows up. I don't think he'll be around the entire series, so he might be one of those. And there could be others. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to set too many expectations for what I'm going to see here, but I expect to be surprised. So it looks fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Cybernetic Shark, what do you think about Daredevil? Do you think same thing as Arch, just going to be like a quick 1 episode kind of deal, or?
No, I don't agree with that. I think we'll see him a little more than that, especially with his series going to be coming up very shortly. I think we're going to see him a little more, especially because he's an attorney as well. I think we're going to see him in Matt Murdock mode and Daredevil mode throughout the series. I don't know how many times. It could be a couple times. Could be, in each episode. We don't know. But I definitely think it's going to be a little bit more than just a one-time thing in this series. Same thing with Titania. I think we're going to see her throughout the whole entire series as well. Wong, I don't know. He could be a one and done. I don't know, but absolutely that scene is absolutely fantastic with him. He's probably one of my favorite characters since his first time seeing him in Doctor Strange 1. He has grown to be an amazing character, and Benedict Wong is just kicking the butt out of that character.
Oh, yeah.
And I absolutely love his performance as this character. So I'm looking forward to if they give him more time in the show. I'd be very happy to see more of it. I think that he will be in a little bit more because because of the after credit scene or end credit scene in Shang-Chi, him and Blonsky going into the portal together, I think we'll be seeing Wong a little bit more than just one scene too, I think, because he's going to be around, Blonsky himself, especially if he's kind of like the catalyst for, She-Hulk being this new attorney for all these super being people. They kind of make it seem like he's kind of like a big deal in the series. So I think that's going to play into it too as well. So I think it's going to have a lot of cameos, a lot of people popping up, but also I think a lot of these characters that we saw in the trailer, I think we will see them more than just one off and throughout the series.
Kyle, thoughts on Daredevil's impact in the series? Why is Daredevil actually in Daredevil outfit and like he's going to actually be in action?
I think it's a combination of things here. Obviously, having Matt Murdock and She-Hulk makes sense with the attorney connection. I think he's going to be in at least one episode where we'll see him as Daredevil. There's interactions. Daredevil, if you look closely, he's in the classic Daredevil yellow suit as well, and not the red, but the original kind of dark, kind of red and yellow suit that he originally debuted in. I think what the plan is for Daredevil is to use She-Hulk to kind of whet the appetite. Where you're really going to get your big dose of Daredevil is when Echo comes out, which will come out, and then I think events of Echo will lead into the Daredevil Born Again series. So I think that's kind of the plan here for Daredevil. I really think She-Hulk is going to be a kind of a gateway to bring in some interesting characters, kind of give us a day-to-day look at the world of the MCU. And I just got to throw this out, talking about Wong. Wong is the new Phil Coulson of the MCU. He is the guy he's the glue. He keeps everybody together. He's the one who keeps everybody on a certain level. And I love how they're setting up because he's appearing in everything. And I just kind of love the fact that it feels like he has taken that torch from Clark Gregg and really become that MCU glue guy right now.
Isn't Wong actually the actual resident Sorcerer Supreme, not Strange?
Correct, because Strange blipped.
Okay, there you go. So Renee, bouncing off of what Kyle said, what do you think? I mean, obviously, we all know that we're going to get Daredevil and Echo. We know that. We all figured that was going to happen. What do you think of that whole deal? The fact that we know we're going to get the series, the Daredevil series. He's going to be an Echo. He's in She-Hulk. I mean, are they going to try to milk Daredevil at this point?
Well, I think more than likely we'll see She-Hulk in his series, because, like you say, they're both lawyers. They know each other. They're going to be part of that same world. Whatever Kingpin's going to be up to, she may get involved in that somehow. I mean, I think she's being sort of forced. I think by the trailer, she's sort of being forced into being the defense attorney to Abomination, for whatever reason. So I think, however that's going to go, don't really have a clue about that one yet, but we'll see how that factors into anything. But yeah, I think as far as the Daredevil tie-in, I think it's going to be like a continuum with those stories as far as the TV shows go. Just we'll see a lot of interaction between all these characters, kind of like they did with the Netflix when they started bringing in Jessica Jones and all the Punisher and all these people, and they all sort of interacted with each other throughout each TV show. So I think it may be something more similar to that. And talking about Wong, you're exactly right, Kyle. I was just thinking about that. He's really moved into that anchor position. He's going to be the stabilizer as far as what the action, and when everybody else is going off the rails, he's going to be the one to kind of, okay, let's focus, get back to what we're doing. And of course, he's the Sorcerer Supreme, so he has his powers there to draw upon. So to help keep everything on, hopefully, whatever's going to happen, I'm sure it's going to be disasters and horrible things, but he'll be there hopefully to clean up afterwards. I think so because Samuel L. Jackson, he's, bless his heart. I mean, he's great and everybody loves him as Nick Fury, but he's aging out. He's getting some time on him, and it's time for I think both he and the character to sort of retire and step back from it. So I think Wong will be that character to fill in those shoes.
Well, I think Samuel L. Jackson can keep on going forever, personally.
Well,
but,
I mean, if he does, great. I mean, I'm not saying he should, but you know what I'm saying. It's just, you know, he's had a lot of screen time, and just like a lot of the other characters, it's time for him to step back and let some of these others come forward and younger audience as it were.
Okay.
I don't mean to sound ageist, but going back to the CGI thing, yeah, I'll say this about MCU, and this goes way back to Captain America. That was very convincing. I mean, how they put Evan's head on that scrawny body, and it made it, and it looked real. You know, I mean, of course you're going to notice it in the beginning, but as just right into it, you forget about it. You buy the character. And I think they've always, it's what they call the uncanny valley. And I saw it in Star Wars. I mean, even when they tried to bring in some of the characters, like early on, like Princess Leia and the Christopher Lee, they brought him in CGI, and it was it just didn't look right. You know, it looked bizarre and uncanny. Literally, it gave you that weird uncanny feeling. But you don't really get that, I don't think, with the MCU. By and large, they're always viable, believable, and I don't have any problem with them. And hopefully they'll have it up to snuff. If there's problems with She-Hulk, hopefully it'll be up to snuff by the time they air it.
R. Stanton, is She-Hulk the first actual female superhero we've had in the MCU that is going to be funny and does have a very solid comedic base as a character?
That is going to be funny as a woman. That's an interesting. I wasn't prepared for that. I mean, I guess I'm trying to think. I mean, you know, obviously Widow's pretty serious. You know, Bree's like snarky more than funny. I mean, I guess you could call her funny, but like she's more, you know, she's more sarcastic than anything else. I mean, Pepper's not. Maria Hill's not. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Yeah. So yeah.
There you go. Okay. That's all I wanted to ask you. What do you think?
Well, the only funny one was Ant-Man. Bale was Ant-Man.
Ah, that's funny. What do you think? What do you think, Cyber? We really haven't gotten one other than She-Hulk, right? She's gonna be the first one that's really has a comedic element to her.
Yes. Yeah, everyone else that's been in the MCU that's a female superhero or female character, all have pretty much been, you know, serious, or they've been snarky, or they have been just like straight face, basically. You know what I mean? Like you could go for pan comedy where they're like, you know, the deadpan type of deal, but most of them have always been serious and have, you know, been, you know, kick butt kind of deal. So yeah, not a lot of comedy at all from the female actresses in these films. I mean, there have been, you know, a few liners have been in the movies that are a little, you know, funny, a little comedic. Like I feel Wasp, Wasp has had.
Ooh, wait, how about Darcy?
Ooh, I'm loving this conversation. Keep going, gentlemen.
Darcy.
Yeah, Darcy. Yeah, Darcy. There's a little bit. Yep.
That's true. So Renee, if we already accept the premise that maybe she is for the first real comedic, you know, kind of female superhero in the MCU, what do you make of that?
Well, I think Ant-Man was the first male, wasn't he? Were they any funny up to that point?
We're talking about
female.
they
had funny elements. Women. No, I'm talking about the men. You were talking about. Okay, Tony Stark was funny, but he was also very serious. Let's see who else.
I'm talking about women. I'm talking about the women, the female superheroes or whatever.
I'm talking about the men. Okay, well, we'll talk about the women. Yeah, Darcy was very funny. I mean, she's hilarious. And she's not whiny. I mean, she was just playing that character. I mean, she's really, as you've seen her grow, she's really kind of very smart. She was sort of playing she's playing like this wiseacre, and she's just watching everything going down. She has, and she's snarky, yeah, very much so. She's not a whiner, not one bit. She's very on top of everything, and of course she's silly and everything like that. So yeah, I think she's not a superhero, but she's funny. I mean, she was a funny character. So yeah, as far as funny women, I mean, they each bring funny elements as they come into it. I mean, however it's going to. my goodness, how funny was Wanda. I mean, right off the bat. I mean, you've totally forgotten how funny a lot of that was. So yeah, I'm just bringing up. I mean, you're kind of jumping the gun on what is funny and what isn't funny. And as far as just a funny, plain old, the character itself was just funny, and that was Ant-Man. So, and how far
I
was
get
he
it.
into it? Like a couple of years. So yeah, that's just the point I'm making. I'm and keep going. I'm having fun listening to the comments.
No, and you know, and even yelling the below, but she cracks some
She's
jokes
funny.
here and there, but she does have kind of a
Yeah,
snarky
she
kind
was
of
always, Black Widow. She was always very smart and witty, and look how she handled Loki and all that. Yeah, there've been some funny ladies. It hadn't been all dour and sour. And,
I actually used to think of Pepper. You got me thinking about this now, like a lot. Pepper, I used to have some great lines in the early Iron Man movies. Like my favorite one of my favorite ones in the whole series is just like, I do everything Mr. Stark requires, including taking out the trash. Will that be all? I love that. That whole scene was great, dude. I loved it.
Kyle.
I think you've got you have some comedy gold that could be mined with the Yelena Kate Bishop relationship. I think both of those ladies can bring some funny to them. And I think Shuri had some pretty good moments in Black Panther. So
may I interject? The Captain Marvel, the Carol Danvers, the older lady. Oh God, I can't. Oh, the actress's name is she?
Monica Rambeau's mother.
Well, she was from the Kree planet, whatever.
She's talking about Captain Marvel.
Yeah, the Captain Marvel movie. Yeah, with
Marvel. She's talking about Marvel.
Oh,
yeah,
Annette
anyway,
Bening.
she's hilarious.
Yeah.
She is hilarious. She's very funny.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Go back and watch it. She's really good.
So
she actually has some
I
interesting
the
ones.
actress's name. It just oh my God. She's married to Shirley MacLaine's brother.
He said it. Kyle just said it in that Benning.
So Kyle, Tim Ross back in the MCU, okay? Abomination's back in the MCU. What do you think about that? What do you think about his role potentially in the series?
The MCU does this thing. I call it the Mighty Marvel Redemption Tour, where they take the movies that maybe didn't take off so well, and they find a way to redeem them and make them important. And now they're doing that with the Abomination, and they kind of started that in Shang-Chi, but adding this, making Tim. I think there's a plan here to use the Abomination as a big part of the She-Hulk overarching storyline. But let me put it this way: I truly suspect probably by the end of She-Hulk, the Abomination will have a visit from a certain Julia Louise-Dreyfus, and he will be set up to move that character as the strong man for the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, good call. I agree with you. That's very well said. I think that's a really good point to make. Cybernetic Shark, what do you think? What do you think about the fact that we got Tim Roth back?
I'm excited. I'm very excited to finally see Tim Roth back as the Abomination, because I think he was a masterpiece in the Incredible Hulk film back in 2008. He was exactly what I would expect from Emil Blonsky. He played it perfectly, and even though the CGI look of Abomination at the time wasn't 100%, comic book accurate or anything, I thought it was pretty decent looking. I love what they've done with him now, giving him more aquatic features, like when we got to see him in Shang-Chi. And the fact that even in this trailer, we get a good look at him, and he still looks that same look and everything. So I'm really thrilled to see Tim Roth come back. I don't think it's a redemption at all. I don't agree with that. I think that it's more of people realized how good of a role it was, and they just decided to bring him back, because why would you be stupid and not bring Tim Roth back? Basically, that's just what they should do.
Yeah, I love me some Tim Roth. I'll tell you right now. Renee, what do you think about the fact that we get Tim Roth back, and what do you think about the Abomination's role potentially in the series?
I'm not that familiar with the Abomination character, so that's going to be a new ground for me. But for Tim Roth, I mean, absolutely. I mean, here again, we got Marvel casting, like Kyle was brought up. I mean, they just seem to nail it time after time, and with somebody like Tim Roth, I mean, you feel like he can do just about anything, and just what little snippets we saw of it. I think is choice. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do as far as his input into this TV show. And one of the major reasons I want to watch it, absolutely, aside from the fact that it's going to be like a rom-com or some sort of some way, Bridget Jones' Diary-esque, whatever. I think that's going to be different too and a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this particular TV show.
Well, I want to shout Gunnar out. Gunnar, I hope that everything is going okay at home, and that your wife is feeling better. And we'll see you in the next one, brother. Okay. We appreciate your time on the show. Arch, Tim Roth coming back to the MCU, the Abomination. I thought the Abomination looked freaking great in the Hulk film, to tell you the truth. I don't care, but if the CGI was for what it was, I thought was pretty good with him and everything. But what do you think? Arch, you got any different thoughts as far as what the Abomination's role could potentially be, or how big it could be in the series?
I don't know if it's different. I'll totally back you up. I love the Hulk film. I think it plays differently than a lot of them. It's much more intense, start to finish, than more or less any film. Perhaps, I mean, you might be able to compare it to something like The Winter Soldier or something in terms of just kind of like nonstop intensity. But it definitely has its own vibe. It's got a little horror vibe to it. It's. I think it's a fun film. I think it's really good to go back and revisit. And I loved Abomination and Tim Roth specifically in it. But what I love that Marvel's doing here is going back to old school stuff and bringing it back and making it more important. They did that with the Red Skull in Infinity War, where they kind of went back and fished that back out and kind of tied up that story. Tonsberg, which is the town of New Asgard, has been sitting around since, ironically or coincidentally, I guess I should say, the same movie, First Avenger, Tonsberg, where the Red Skull first found the I always call it the Cosmic Cube, but the Tesseract. Has been like a backlying sort of little detail in the MCU that they focused on, and coming back for Tim Roth, I think is great. Like, give that character some meaning, give him some purpose. And I agree with Kyle that I think he's almost certainly going to the Thunderbolts. If he doesn't, I'd be shocked at this point. And I just want to throw out, we can talk about this again some other time, but I'm really thinking Thunderbolts, especially coming right after Captain America: New World Order, Sam's first leading role, I might add, and capping off officially. I'm not a big Phase guy, but the fact that they've said that the Thunderbolts is capping off Phase 5, to me suggests that film is going to play like an Avengers film. They're going to play it that way. I don't know what that means, but I think it's going to be huge. I think whatever's happening in New World Order is going to play a big part in that, and I think it's going to be a big, whatever comes out of it's going to be a big motivation for what we know is the Avengers going forward.
I think we always knew to some
Civil
extent.
War.
Yeah, and we talked about this before, Cyber. We always knew there was going to be a connection between Captain America 4 and the Thunderbolts in some way. There was no way around it. Right?
It's got a lot of shared characters. I don't see how it couldn't be, very, very woven in.
No, especially with the whole Vale factor, even though we don't really know for sure what her whole deal is. You got to figure she's got to have something to do with the Thunderbolts, right? At that point, I think you make a really good point too, Arch, in terms of connecting the vibe of the Hulk film versus Winter Soldier.
Right.
There is a very clear connection there. There is that like almost I don't know, fugitive.
Yeah,
sort of like spy, like that kind of type deal.
Constant intensity, yeah. Something else I'm thinking about, just in terms of what we just talked about with New World Order playing in the Thunderbolts, and not perhaps playing like an Avengers film. Sam has clearly become Captain America at this point, but I think there's a victory he needs to have. Steve, is credited with basically winning World War II. Sam hasn't stepped out in the public eye quite to like that level. I think this is going to be a giant coming out party for Sam, essentially.
He should become gay then. He should become gay.
What? No. I just mean it's going to be a big coming out party for Sam. The major victory that lands him as the hero among heroes in the MCU. I think it's going to be a massive step for him.
Well, no, I agree with you 100% on that. And I'm really pumped for Captain America 4. I love any information about Captain America 4. I do. But so wrapping up the She-Hulk deal. Okay, Bruce Banner Hulk. See him a lot in the trailers. Saw him a lot in this trailer. Cybernetic Shark. Are we gonna get old Hulk back at some point, or is our own, or is the only version we're gonna get for the rest of the MCU Hulk gonna be Professor Hulk at this point?
I think if they're moving towards World War Hulk, they're going to have to get old Hulk back. And that's rumors that they keep circulating very much so over the last like 4 or 5 years now, is that basically Bruce's path is to go to World War Hulk. And kind of how they did with Ragnarok, and kind of talked more about his story, and kind of how Infinity War and Endgame were kind of like his solstice. This is kind of like the introduction to what's taking him towards the next part of his story. And I think that the fact that we see him in this and his arm is completely fine, after because we saw the last time we saw him, he still had his arm in a sling when we saw him in the Shang-Chi cameo. End credit scene, and he was in human form again. So I think there's still a lot of story to tell and project him to that final story. And I definitely think that once they decide to kind of like stand away from the Hulk a little bit, his culmination will come in World War Hulk. So I think that this is kind of like his beginning intro again to his new story.
Well, the reason he got rid of those scars is because he just jumped in my Bacta tank one day for a couple of minutes or whatever, and he knocked that right out. So, you know how that goes. Shout out to Boba, as always. Thank you, Boba. Anyways, Kyle, what do you think, man? What do you think about the fact that he's still Professor Hulk? Are we going to get old Hulk back, or is this going to be the final version of Hulk?
This is not going to be the final version of Hulk. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think the reason why we've had Professor Hulk for as long as we've had is because of some right situations that are really oddball with Hulk. And as far as being able to use him in an individual movie, but with them doing World War Hulk, if that's what's coming on Disney Plus, I think they're going to get a little creative, obviously, because they've already altered the story for World War Hulk. I think maybe what we see is maybe Scar come to Earth, and like, oh, he was the love child the Hulk had while he was on that planet with the Games Master. But I could see where during that storyline something happens to change him back to a more savage, or we see that building, and then we'll go from there. I think a big part of this too is with the Hulk. It's just a weird situation. How much longer does Mark Ruffalo want to be the Hulk? I think that's a big factor into this too. From every impression I get, it looks like they're really setting up the Hulk to be a big player in this next saga too. And maybe much like Chris Hemsworth's Thor could last through this the multiverse saga and leave the MCU after the multiverse saga. So, but I think we're going to see a few different iterations of the Hulk before the multiverse saga is completely finished out. I would expect to see it. I'm hoping we see a Joe Fixit at some point too.
Kyle, really maybe think of something there for a minute. I've never read anything in terms of how much Mark Ruffalo really cares about playing the Hulk. If it's a big thing for him, is it like a big deal for him? Like, does he care about the character? Does he not care? Like, I have no idea.
I think he really cares because he's in his own way almost involved in the MCU as much as Robert Downey Jr. used to be. I mean, he's him and Hemsworth have kind of taken on the we're the old guys around here. We're the transition guys. And I mean, for him to do She-Hulk, for him to be even open to doing World War Hulk, I think they're throwing him a ton of money, and I think he's having a blast doing it. So,
Arch Stanton, is this going to be is Professor Hulk going to be our final version of Hulk? We're going to get old Hulk back, and you tell me.
We're definitely getting new versions. There's no way he's just leaving him here and they're just gonna transition to other characters. You're gonna get some different Hulks. You might end up with Red Hulk. You're obviously getting She-Hulk. Abomination's coming back. Yeah, you're gonna wind up with Savage Hulk coming out, or Classic Hulk coming out. You're gonna get some new versions for sure. I don't know if it's going to be World War Hulk specifically or some significantly modified version of that, but yeah, absolutely 100%. You're getting something else out of that.
Renee, what do you think?
Yeah, I think whatever the problems, copyright character, whatever, hopefully they can work all that out. But I think the tension of or the anticipation, will the old Hulk come back at some point? Will that just who just goes ape wild shit and just bangs everything out? I think that's something that the fans definitely would want. I think it's something would be really great for certainly something to tease and keep going and building for it. I think that would be something really great for the franchise itself. Going to Mark Ruffalo, I mean, there again, one more time, perfect, great actor, wonderful actor. Kind of stepped into what Ed Norton had started with, and he's kind of one of the outliers out there. Not really part of the MCU, but almost, so enough that maybe we can sort of squeeze him in. But he sort of took on and really ran with the character. And if he wants to stay with it, I don't see why not. I mean, guys like Ruffalo, I mean, I can see them taking their paychecks that they get out of this and putting it toward their own production companies and their own projects and smaller things that they like to do and they like to put out, so that they, they're actors, they want to put their craft out there, and I'm totally support whatever they want to do. And if they want to use this money and use this as a way to do it, I'm not going to fault any actor for being, that commercial, because
when Mark Ruffalo first came out, he actually acted in like the Meg Ryan film where she tried to pretend she was Sharon Stone for a movie or whatever. I forget what it was called, but it was one of her last like big ones. Very interesting movie. Different side of Meg Ryan than you've ever seen before. But no, so bouncing off that, right? Go to you, Cyber Night Shark, then to you, Arch. We've talked about this before, but we haven't talked about it in a minute. And I think this is a good time to ask again. Is there a desire on Marvel Studios' behalf to keep these characters in the MCU still, or do they really want to just go ahead and move on? Like, is there still a desire to keep Hulk around as much as they possibly can, to keep Thor around, or do they really want to kind of just move on?
I honestly think that there's a huge desire for these characters still. I mean, the reintroduction basically to kind of Thor himself, Ragnarok, really brought that back. And then that really enticed them, and they made a fourth Thor film. And the fact that, at the end of Thor 4, it says Thor will return, we're getting more Thor. So there is a huge demand for Thor, especially Chris Hemsworth, because Chris Hemsworth has become such a huge commodity in the acting community, from all of his other films besides what he's done for Marvel. Everyone really enjoys his acting, really enjoys his interpretation of Thor, and have really enjoyed what they did with this last Thor film. And I think that the fans are still wanting that, and I think Marvel Studios sees that that's a huge money bucket for them, and that they're going to keep making money off of these characters as long as they can. Because think about it, if you were a huge company and you start having some really lousy years, okay, you're not making as much money as you used to, you got to bring in what people are going to want and bring that money back in. And so what better way is to keep these characters that people really enjoy into the MCU than to keep them actually in there. And I think the same thing with Ruffalo is a lot of people weren't sure if we were going to get to see more of Hulk or Mark Ruffalo as Hulk, after Endgame happened. And the fact that they're bringing it back for She-Hulk, a lot of people love that. They love to keep getting Mark Ruffalo, because Mark Ruffalo really took what, Ed Norton started off with and trying to build on, really just did an amazing job with the character and gave us this really incredible story and just gave us a really fantastic version of Hulk. And I think a lot of people are still wanting that. So I think that people are still wanting these characters, and I think that's why they keep bringing them back. Because, I mean, you look at Iron Man, you look at Captain America, both Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. did it for almost 10 years or did it for 10 years. And, but all of a sudden it's like they kind of died out. And Thor and I feel Hulk really started to become more popular than them, and that's, I think, why they're still around. And I think that the need for Iron Man and the need for Captain America, hence Captain America coming back as a different character, as a different person taking that mantle, you can see that Captain America is still another character that they want to keep around, but because of how some actors don't want to, stick around because they get tired of playing the same character for so many years, they had to alter it. But I think with these two characters, there's such a huge fan base that they just want to keep bringing them back. So that's just how I see it and how I feel that that's why these two keep coming back.
Arch, what do you think? What's your take on that? You think that that there is a proclivity for Marvel Studios, a real effort on their behalf, where maybe in the behind the scenes they're pushing people like War Machine,
Yes.
and whatnot to stick around?
Yes, absolutely. And the big reason is that the MCU is a totally different thing than anything we've ever experienced. I mean, they're at 29 films. What is it? 14 shows at this point, something like that. It's a massive, ongoing, unprecedented media project, and the way you keep that going is to get a rub out of your own old actors. Like you don't absolutely have to have Hulk or Ruffalo's version to get a She-Hulk series going, but it helps. You get her interacting with the old guard, and it immediately gives the sense of credibility that is there. Like she's connected to what's happened before directly now in another way than if he wasn't in the series. And it's you need that in certain ways. Yes, you can move on from certain characters. You can pass the mantle from Steve to Sam, and that's fine. But even then, you still had a direct passing of that guard from Steve to Sam. We just talked about how they're bringing back Abomination. That that they made sure to bring back the Red Skull thing. They want these older stories to carry on. They want this world to feel alive, and the way to do that is to keep some of these people in to give a rub, to carry on the mantles, to give their credibility and their history, to leave open the opportunity to do stories like World War Hulk, which you couldn't do without the original Hulk, really, not in a serious sense. So, yeah, I think they're absolutely trying to keep it as much as they can going for as long as they can, for sure.
Arch, the Captain America character was, and then Sam himself, and his friendship with Steve is the only reason why that's the only character that will ever be carried over like that from a different actor to a different actor. You're not going to see that with anybody else.
Right. Yeah. I don't think that they're going to do that a ton in terms of like another, like they didn't do it with Jane, right? Like Jane had that power for a second, but I know there were several people thinking that suddenly Jane was just going to continue being Thor for an indefinite period of time. And I honestly never really thought that was going to happen, because I don't think they're going to play that type of card repeatedly, more than maybe a couple of times.
Kyle?
I think this is where it gets interesting in the aspect of where you're dealing with the comic difference versus the actual living MCU, or in comics characters can stay in age, but as the world evolves, it evolves. But here you've got actors who are going to age out of playing these characters, but you can't tell me though that if Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans said, "I want to come back in to do something," the door's not wide open to them. But Marvel is also in a different place than they were when they first started these films. They don't have to sign these guys to 6-7 picture deals anymore. They're signing them to 2 and 3 picture deals, or 2 pictures in a show or something like that. They're not giving them the long-term contracts like they used to. There's no more Sebastian Stan 30 different projects in your contract, because the MCU is coming from a place of power now where people want to be part of the MCU, and that's the advantage they have. I don't think there's a franchise, except maybe Star Wars, where people truly are excited to be part of that franchise. I mean, think about this. We have Charlize Theron show up for a cameo in Doctor Strange. She's going to obviously have a bigger role later on, but people are lining up left and right. And the amazing thing is that they're building a next generation of heroes right before our eyes. We basically have all the young Avengers in place now by the time Secret Invasion is done, because there's a rumor is that Hulkling will be introduced in Secret Invasion. You'll have Stature introduced in Ant-Man, obviously. So you have that. We got Riri Williams coming, and there's a great way to incorporate Robert Downey Jr. back at some point if you want to make do like they did in the comics, where there was a Tony Stark AI in Riri's Ironheart armor. So there's a lot of different moving pieces here. I think they love having Hemsworth. I think they love having Ruffalo. So they have they always have those flag poles that they can go to, those guys who represent everything. But eventually they are going to age out themselves. And the question is, do they do an act replace, or do they just replace the character? Kind of what Marvel tried to do this about 10 years ago when we first got the James Foster Thor. They brought in Riri Williams. They brought in several, like what they called legacy characters, where they took over, like Sam becomes Captain America, things like that. So I think they're trying to do that with the MCU, but be a little more realistic about it. Say some of these changes, they're not going back. We're not going to see a Tony Stark necessarily back, but Marvel has the ability to hit a reset button and bring in other actors thanks to the multiverse saga. If we walk out of Secret Wars and we have a new actor as Tony Stark and we have a new actor as Steve Rogers, it wouldn't be a 100% shock to me. It's also a great way they could bring back to recast T'Challa, because I do know that Chadwick Boseman's brother has had several meetings with Kevin Feige and expressed that Chadwick did not want this character to go by the wayside. He felt the character himself was too important. So if they decide to recast for T'Challa and bring T'Challa back, they could do it in Secret Wars. Secret Wars is a real interesting aspect of how they could hit reset on a lot of their characters and still maintain having people like Hemsworth and Ruffalo play these other characters. I think they want their cake and eat it too, and I think they're in a position where they've written themselves smartly enough to do it.
I'll tell you what, I would have maybe stood in line for Charlize Theron, like when she was laying in that bed half naked in Cyber House Rules back in the day and everything. But at this point where she's at now, I'm not standing in line for her ass anymore. She ain't done nothing for me lately, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm.
But either way.
Can I jump in there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to, what everybody just said, I think it's just spot on as far as discussing how one of the things that I think they're starting to do with the MCU is bringing back these comfort characters. These were the people who went through the whole right up to 2009 Endgame, which was the biggest movie ever at that point. Probably still is right now, but and that movie did that way for a point. I mean, for a reason. It was beyond just a great saga and really good filmmaking, and everybody was just enjoying it. There was a reason it was the most popular movie in the world at that time. We just look around. I don't want to get too deep and too heavy, but we just look around and, we have people that are whole segments of the population living on the internet that believe all these wild, freaky, JFK Jr. is still alive type things. And so, these people are out there and they're a big worry and they're a big threat right now to our reality as it should be. But bringing these characters back right now into these movies is very important beyond what the storylines are. So I'm hoping that they're going to do it the right way. As far as recasting, bringing in a new actor to play an old, that's going to be a challenge. But if you look at Star Trek, if you can look at maybe more clumsy than what they've dealt with that already. I mean, they had to start a whole new series of Star Trek characters back in the 80s. After Star Trek started getting popular again, and they did a pretty good job of it and brought in all new characters and just whole cloth new characters. Then when they started rebooting the movies back with new actors, I guess J.J. Abrams and that guy, all these people were involved with it, and they had to recast Kirk and Spock. I mean, these are iconic characters played by two iconic actors, so. Impossible for them to play those. I guess Leonard Nimoy was already passed away, and of course, bless him, he's still alive. He's going to live forever. Shatner was far too old to be in it. New actors, and I think they did really well. They found two actors that filled those spots, and they've even done it again. They've had to recast Spock as a younger version of himself in the Star Trek Strange New Worlds that's on Paramount Plus right now. and they've done, I thought, a really good job. They managed to do it. So yeah, it is possible to recast. You just have to take care and love and just do it the right way.
Okay. And we're going to have to let Kyle go and let Arch go at this point, and then pretty much after that, me and Cyber and Renee are going to be bouncing after that. But either way, Kyle, Arch, we appreciate having you on.
Absolutely, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Kyle.
Kyle, Arch, Arch, if you want to start, Arch, if you have any final thoughts as far as if we don't see you here for a minute, anything from San Diego Comic-Con, you want to just anything you want to any last opinions, anything that stood out to you want to mention, anything at all, it's up to you. And then besides that, anything you want to tell us about the Podcast of Champions?
No, just in general, the whole San Diego Comic-Con, the Marvel panel was just massive, and I know that there was a little sentiment that we didn't have a clear direction at this point. We were a few projects in, not a lot of time, but they've got so many projects coming out that it feels like, what are we going to do? There's no direction, and I just think they really set that course. It's made me feel insanely better about Phase 4 in general. I just feel like there's something going on. I know that this stuff is happening. We talked about like the possibility of Doom showing up, and it wouldn't just be a cameo now. It'd be like, whoa, well, what's he gonna do in secret? I just feel this momentum now, and I have that Thanos head turn sort of feel way back in Avengers, where I was like, holy shit, this is leading somewhere. So like, I'm just completely reinvigorated back in Comic-Con. I'm excited.
Well, I think that partially some of the things with some of the stuff with Doom has to do with the Fantastic Four films that came out with Fox and how they did Doom in those.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
All right, Arch, anything new with Podcast of Champions, card.freeforums.net?
No, you just listed the website. I've been hanging out there a lot more recently. But I don't know. We're just chatting it up, man. I don't think we've got any particular events going on right now, but sakara.freeforums.net. We welcome everybody to swing in, talk about any nerdy good stuff you like.
Excellent. And you know what? It's really good to have you again, brother. Nice to see you on the panel again. We'll take audio or video, whatever we can get from you, brother.
No problem, man. Good to see you, Cyber. Renee, good to see you, man. Kyle, good to see you again. If I haven't
All right.
Good to see you too, Arch.
Yeah, good to see you, Arch.
And Kyle, thank you, as always, for being willing to be such a professional, jump on so quick the way you did. I figured you'd be interested in talking about these topics. I did. I figured once I flashed them at you, you'd want to jump on. And luckily, I was right. Thanks for coming on.
It's always great to talk to MCU, and it's an exciting time. We had so much information drop out of San Diego Comic-Con, and we still have a ton more coming up with D23. But we've all been talking about how Phase 4, and we just kind of felt a little rudderless. And I think when we look back, we got to give Marvel a lot of credit for taking some chances with Phase 4 that they probably wouldn't have otherwise, but they felt like they had kind of hit a crescendo with the end of the Infinity Saga. They took some chances. Some of them worked, some of them didn't, but they cleared the board. And I think we're going to look back at Phase 4 as definitely a transition phase, because I think starting with Phase 5, when that starts with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, the ride's going to get wild, and it's going to be nonstop insane through 2026 when we get Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty, and then so much more after that. I really truly do believe that this is something that we'll never see again replicated in movie history, is what the MCU has become. And it's so much fun to talk about, and it's so much fun to speculate. And Kevin Feige is a genius, and he keeps us on our toes, and he trolls us. He's having a lot of fun with Ryan Reynolds right now. Let's just say that too. So throw that little nugget out there as well. Don't be surprised if we don't see Deadpool 3 in Phase 6.
I would point out right now, I don't think Cybernetic Shark ever wavered. I think even I was a little bit pessimistic at times with Phase 4 and here and there. Cybernetic Shark never said one goddamn word about ever being concerned about Marvel Studios or like what was going on in the future or what was going to happen next or whatever. I can honestly give him credit and say, I don't think he ever said one word about any of that. So, heads up to you, Cyber. Right?
I always have faith in Marvel.
There you go.
I always have faith.
That's what I figured.
Well, and if you've been paying attention to social media this evening, Oscar Isaac is in Cairo right now with the director of Moon Knight. So and he's basically saying there's why we're the reason why we're here. There's no other reason why we would both be here together at the same time.
Are they going to redo the last 3 episodes or redo them and sub them in for the 3 they did?
It's called season 2, Jeff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, season 2 will explain it all.
Okay.
But again, thanks so much for having me on. It's always good to be here to talk Marvel. And if you want some more Marvel, check out the Fandom Podcast Network, our Marvel show, True Believers, plus all the other great shows we've got on there. Whether it's via our pod, you can find us on all the major podcast catchers out there, or visit our YouTube channel, Fandom Podcast Network on YouTube. And we just we have a good time, like we say to everybody there. Respect others and enjoy your fandom. And
there you go.
And
if I ever get back invited on there again, if you want to see the actual Disney Plus version of Jeff S. True Knowledge, you'll see it on the show. True Believers.
He's been there. He's been there. I have actual proof of this.
That's right. You will see the actual. I have platonic relationships with women, Jeff.
I might be keeping those for blackmail purposes later. I'm just saying.
There you go.
Thanks so much, guys.
All
have
right,
a great night.
Tell Kevin we said hello.
We'll do. Great. Have a great rest of the show, guys.
Take care. So, I'm glad Kyle mentioned that, and Arch mentioned that. I think it's a great thing to kind of close the show out. Renee, how do you feel about your whole concerns with Marvel Studios at this point after the Comic-Con event and everything and whatnot? Are you feeling better?
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot more optimistic about it. I think probably just making all those announcements, right then and there, rather than trying to tease it out over a couple of years or whatever, I think was smart move. You say, okay, this is where we're going. This is what you can sort of expect. You don't have to just wildly speculate about which way it's going to go. So I think that gives the fans a little bit more of a frame and a little bit more confidence going forward what they're going to get. So yeah, I feel a lot better about it. Like you say, I've been very critical about what MCU's done. I think one problem that I sort of saw, and I should have brought up when we talked about Wong and him being such a great character. Wong also has a Tide commercial. So when I see stuff like that, I get a little nervous. I get a little, okay, that's just a little, that's too commercial. That's too, they're cheapening the MCU with stuff like that. So I don't really like that. I didn't like it in Thor 4 when they did the Old Spice commercial with Valkyrie. I mean, come on, that was so hokey and such a it's what's called pandering.
Hey, if somebody wants to give me in cyber $10,000, we'll gladly do shit like that.
Well, yeah, if somebody gives me $10,000, I'll absolutely do it too. But what I'm saying is that it's commercial, it's pandering. I don't want to see an Old Spice commercial in the middle of a movie. I don't really care about seeing Wong sell Tide detergent. You know what I'm saying? So stuff like that I'm going to stay critical of if I see it in the movies. But as far as I think a lot of the other stuff, I think it's going to hopefully they'll get away from some of that and realize, come on, guys, let's stick to the story, stick to it. You're making a ton of money anyway. You don't need Tide.
Well, for $25,000, I'll take freaking deodorant, rub it over my body.
Wow. Well, no, Tide's. I don't know how much Benedict Wong's getting, but my God, you can better believe Disney is getting a big pile of money for that. To let yeah.
Well, Saturday Sharp, having never been wavered anyway with Marvel Studios or where the direction was going and whatnot, what do you think? Do you feel like the fandom at least is feeling better overall at this point? I mean, not just. Of course, there's going to be euphoria after something like the San Diego Comic-Con panel with Marvel Studios. I'm saying in general, do you feel like at this point right now, what we've been given is enough to kind of stem the flow of some of the pessimism and the criticism?
I definitely feel there have been quite a few of the people that were disappointed with the direction of Marvel at the time after they saw San Diego Comic-Con are feeling a little better. They're not as wavered anymore. They see where they're going because they finally gave kind of like a full timeline to season of phase 5 They only gave us 3 portions of Phase 6, but they at least gave a Phase 5 complete overhaul. And I think a lot of people were happy. On Twitter and on Instagram, I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, very happy with San Diego Comic-Con. Glad to finally see Marvel making a way, having a path and so forth." So I definitely see a lot of people are a lot more happier with what it was. But like I said, I never wavered it because I had, with what they already put out with those 20 plus films, with the end of the Infinity Saga, I had no doubts that they would bring us something good. I knew that they were going to have to rebuild up to get to that point again. Because think about it, if you go all the way back to when Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 1 came out, nobody knew that it was going to be as massively successful as it is. Nobody knew. Not even Marvel Studios knew that they were going to become this huge.
No,
So
they were getting loans out just to make the films.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's always going to be a rebuild period after a climactic end in any type of studio, in any type of film series. And what Marvel has done is basically, kind of like what Kyle said, them taking the risk they did was, Phase 4 so far. That was the rebuilding period. So once Ant-Man 3 comes out, which, like he said, I think that's definitely going to be the starting block of that same up-tempo of what the Infinity Saga brought us. And I think a lot of people are gonna really start to, realize, oh, why did I doubt Marvel Studios at all? This is kind of dumb. I see now where they're going. And I think that's basically just what people are waiting for.
How much of a big deal do you think is that they actually went ahead and threw the Avengers stuff out there? Do you think that's really that big of a deal, that they took it to that level?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because a lot of people were like, oh, basically after Infinity and Endgame came out, a lot of people were like, they haven't mentioned any other Avenger films. They're not going to do any more Avenger films. And a lot of people were like, they're not going to make any more Avenger films, and started losing their minds. And I was like, there's more Avenger films coming. Just, you got to wait. They have to rebuild to it. And that's basically what they're doing. If you look at how the timeline's working with these phases, they had to do all of Phase 4. They have to do Phase 5 to get to that point again. And if you look back at the first 3 phases, it took them a whole phase to get to even the first Avengers. Then it took another half of a phase before they got to, the next Avengers. And then they concluded with 2 Avenger films in the final phase of that Infinity Saga. So it's a build-up period, once again. So I definitely think that when they finally announced that there was 2 Avengers films coming out within 6 months of each other, people lost their shit. It was absolutely hilarious what I was reading on Twitter and seeing on Instagram. And stuff.
They're actually coming out they're both coming out within 6 months of each other?
Yeah, they're coming out the same year.
They'll make the movies. They'll probably make both movies at the same time.
I didn't know that. I had no idea it was like that. I had no clue.
Yeah, May and then November.
Wow.
You know what you're talking about? So just those, the anxiety. I think that the people were saying, "Well, the Avengers are never coming back," and I sort of had the feeling, particularly with like a lot of the characters that. And it'll be kind of lost on you two guys, but it's what I call the My Three Sons effect. And there was a TV show called My Three Sons, and this happened on a couple other TV shows too. It was an all male cast, and his father has 3 sons. One son, the actor, was called Tim Considine, and he wanted to leave the show for whatever reason. So the oldest son goes off to college. They adopt the kid from next door, so they still have My Three Sons. And then the oldest son was never mentioned again. It was like he never existed for the rest of the series. And this happened in a show called Bonanza. And I think it happened in Happy Days. Happy Days originally had
maybe they sold that one kid to Kevin Spacey.
Well, repeat that. What'd you say? I heard
maybe they sold the one kid to Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Hopefully not. But if you ever seen My Three Sons, this one goes, Anyway, it's just it's for the old fans out there. If there anybody that's still awake,
I actually heard that Kevin Spacey's going to try to sign a long-term contract with Marvel Studios and Disney so he can work with the youth aspects of.
Well, yeah. I hope not.
So let me ask you though, Renee. I don't believe for a second that you ever were like so hung up that you had to see the Avengers put out in front of you or whatever to like feel like you could feel comfortable with what was going on. But at least, did that?
Yes, I did need that. I needed
something
that.
for you.
I needed to know that the Avengers were coming back at some point, if only just one or two of them. I gotta, we gotta have that. We gotta have that thread going back to the foundation. We the saga, the heritage, the legacy. We need that. We need. Yeah, we're gonna have new characters and everything. It's got to change, but we don't have to throw everything out.
Well, if you look at Disney's financials in the last couple of years, and then with the Star Wars stuff and everything, how well they've done financially, I think it was pretty obvious the entire time that they were not going to be forgetting about the Avengers anytime soon. You know what I'm saying?
Well, probably not. Probably not.
No. As far as their bottom line goes, they need some Avengers, baby.
Well, you think that, but then you look at them, and I hate to say it, but the mess that the DCCU has become. I mean, it's just, oh my gosh! And I mean, every once in a while they have something like Joker that comes out that just is just terrific, but so much of it's just a mess. And then this whole Batgirl thing, and it's just, oh my gosh.
I'm not going down that path. I don't even know what to call them anymore. I don't know what to call it. DCU, DCEU. Like, I'm not even sure what to call it anymore, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. It's horrible and such a disservice to such great characters as Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Swamp Thing, all those great, all the villains, Joker, and all that. And I can't think of any of the others.
Well, either way, folks, thank God we managed to finish the show and not have to freaking watch the I Am Groot trailer. I'm very pleased about that. I
we'll save that one for later.
Yeah, it was so great. We'll save it for Friday. And Cyber's like internally he's like, thank God.
Nope.
Oh, you love that?
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. All right, there you go. Hey, maybe
I'm not cynical.
Maybe Cyber sees something that I Am Groot that I don't see yet.
Well, they got I saw the trailer and they got the little cubicle, the little pill-shaped characters. And who do you think they got that from? The Minions.
Well, a lot of times Cyber knows things I don't know, so like you never know. I could be an asshole and I Am Groot could win an Oscar. So you never know, right? Could be a possibility. Either way, folks, I'm going to go around real quick, close the show out. Cybernetic Shark, if you want to start off, please, sir, as always, feel free to discuss and talk about your individual content, which I know since I talked to you recently, you told me that you've actually made quite a bit of lately. If you want to just talk about what all you do, what platforms you're on. I've seen you on Rizzle recently. I actually jumped on there the other day for the first time in a long time. It's good to see you on there. Nice to be back home for a minute. You know what I mean. You ever forget where you came from, right?
No, you don't.
That's right.
Anyways,
go ahead.
Anyways, folks, if you enjoy us here on the MCU's Bleeding Edge, I have my own solo content that I do to entertain this wonderful world that's out there. And like he said, yes, I was putting out a whole bunch of content over the last week, especially for Shark Week. I was doing shark-themed reviews. I've been trying to put out at least 3 videos a week for you guys, if you keep an eye on that channel. Of course, under Cybernetic Shark, of course, on YouTube. But yeah, you can find me on TikTok, Rizzle, Instagram, Facebook, all those great places as well. I do everything you can think of, trailer reactions, movie reviews, all that kind of stuff, parodies. I will be having a new series premiere on my channel soon, which will be called Cyber Reacts to Retro Music Videos. It will be all types of old classic music videos. Nothing newer than 2012. So anything 2012 and down, you'll be seeing on this review channel. And I thought it'd be an interesting, different thing because I got a lot of great positive feedback from people in the comments that they would like to see something like this. Also, I will be working on a new Backyard Adventures series, which will be called Backyard Apartment Adventures, because it's going to be just a lot of fun and enjoyable again to bring back Ron Allen, the Backyard Adventurer. So be on the lookout for that too, people. And yeah, if you enjoy us on here, definitely check out that stuff too.
Yep, and I'm going to be hosting a series of my own too called Me and Some Chick's Backyard a couple times. A couple different chicks.
You and Julio down by
I'll
the
be
backyard.
hosting that one. I'll be hosting that one with Cyber and Renee co-hosting and doing the camera work and everything and the production and all that. And it's gonna be a team effort.
I think I got bowling league that week.
Okay. Either way, it's gonna be my version of Bear Grylls, except instead of like doing intense feats out in the woods, I'm gonna be getting after it in the woods, if you know what I'm talking about. But either way, Renee, you're happy, of course. You could mention the Podcast of Champions, Sakara, if you want, and whatnot, and tell us about any of your fascinating life over there in the Carolinas.
Oh yeah, Carolinas is fascinating here. It's been raining every day, storming. I mean, they're not getting any rain out west. We're getting it here. So, but other than that, yeah, I mean, Podcast of Champions and also Sakar at freeform.net. If you ever want to jump over there, anybody, and just have a little chit chat on the line, and I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. I'm in contact with the stars, and I'll be doing forecasting and things like that, whatever you want.
That's right.
Reading,
and I'm gonna put it out there right now. I love the Carolinas. They are some great states, man.
Absolutely,
right now.
yeah.
You want to go on vacation?
Mm-hmm.
You can go to North or South Carolina and have a great time.
Yep, go to Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach. Yep,
and it's not expensive either.
No, it's not.
And the people are nice.
Mm-hmm.
Which is nice. Either way, of course, I can't really discuss some of my individual content here on the show because even though this is the Bleeding Edge, some of my stuff is beyond Bleeding Edge level. So there is no rating for it. They haven't come up with one yet. That doesn't clearly exemplify some of it. But either way, I am, of course, Jeff S., a.k.a. True Knowledge. I am very blessed and very humbled to be able to be a part of this wonderful program over here that we call our live stream discussional shows we do. I want to just really quick shout out Cybernetic Shark, my co-host, for being so outstanding on the panel tonight. I want to thank Renee for helping me put together my outline for the show tonight. Thank you, Renee, for jumping in and participating with me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank that chick I hung out with today before the show that inspired me and my confidence and got my energy going and everything before the show. Thank you. I will not name you, but you were very fun. Hey, besides that, shout out to the fandom. I don't believe in doing a lot of plugs. If you don't want to subscribe to us, you don't have to. But at the end of the day, you should. Because me and Cyber, we like getting to 2,000 subs. We like that number. And if you don't do it, if you don't help us out with that, then who knows? I mean, I could end up having to do weird in the back alley type, stuff going on just to make it happen. I don't want it to happen. I'm trying to keep it real. So help us out, subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment, support us. We'll see you on the next one. Bleeding Edge, we out. Peace.
Good night.
Every day of the week. If I hop up on the mic, they gon' gon' play it on repeat. Cash 100 milli check, I get paid just to breathe. Kill it 24/7 cause I slay in my sleep. Flames pipe down.